6 AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. XAUUSD, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.
Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another live stream. Hope everyone is doing well as always. If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. And of course, if you are enjoying the content and you want to find out a bit more about the channel and trade signals and members only videos, I do recommend to check out the channel memberships with some added perks there as well. Now, as always, got another week ahead of us, going through a lot of markets, what we're looking to trade, what's on the watch list. If you guys do have any recommendation, any pairs you're looking at, trades you're in, or just want to discuss some topics, drop it in the chat and we'll be happy to discuss. What's up, Raymond? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Francis, my man, hope you are doing good. Morning. We'll jump straight in. I do have two positions which I am currently live on. Pound yen, which I hopped into this morning, and dollar CAD I hopped into this morning. I was actually looking to hop into pound yen on Friday, but it was coming right to the end of the week and we're about to get the weekly candle closure, so I don't want to take the trade, especially with gaps kind of prominent at the moment right now. So I've waited for today's candle to open up. So I have entered some longs in pound yen and some longs in dollar CAD, which we'll run through as well. Yeah, weekend was good to me. Pretty chilled. Yeah, nothing crazy on the weekend. Hope everyone's weekend was good as well. Excuse me. What's up, Joe? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Okay, I mean, if you're not quite confident, trading on a demo account is probably the place to be. Well, again, I'm guessing you're a bit of a beginner, and if that's the case, then you are going to be in a position where it doesn't really make sense to you. You don't know where to buy and sell. I do have videos on my channel talking about support and resistance, supply and demand, trend lines, understanding market structure, where to buy to follow trends, or if you're looking for counter trend moves. So I do recommend to go through that content. There's a playlist on my channel, Forex Education, which I recommend to check out, and it kind of has things for beginners to learn from, and as you progress, there's more advanced videos there too. But yeah, if that's the case, not to worry. No one knows what they're doing when they do come into the scene. But you have to start with the basics. I do recommend stick with that fake that demo account, because yeah, going to live accounts is probably not the best place to start for yourself. But yeah, go check out the education playlist. If you do have any other questions along the way, drop it in the chat and we'll be happy to discuss. Dev, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll take a look at dollar yen. Hey, nice. Congrats. Past the 200k account with it. Nice. Well done. Good to see, my man. Keep that up. Now it's time to keep the account. Don't want to go and lose it now. Make sure you do keep that for as long as possible. Anywho, let's get into some charts. So I did hop into a pound yen long position. This one I was eyeing up on Friday, but I didn't want to enter the trade because it was coming up to the end of the week. We had a nice closure here as price basically respected support. The prior high, basically looking for a break, and we test off that area. But yeah, this was pretty much the candle? Yeah, this was the candle that closed on Friday. So this is where I wanted to hop into the position. But yeah, because it was literally just going to the weekend, no point. So I waited for the new candle to open up for the week. And I did hop in the trade here, about a few pips above where I would like to be in the trade. But stop loss in the same position. I think it's about 1 to 2, yeah, 2.5 to my targets. So I'm still happy with the risk reward. And basically, what I'm looking for pound yen is the continuation of this uptrend back to the highs at 207.6. I am looking at some yen weakness. I'm still looking at shorting the yen and buying the other yen currencies. That's still very much my plan of action. until we start breaking through some structure. We have had a very sluggish uptrend for pound yen, but recently with this gap and the breakout, it has made me start to be very interested in the trend and betting on the continuation of it. And since price pulled back relatively corrective, it wasn't violent, it was quite slow. You can see how price moved very, very corrective on the way down, breaking through these lows, push up, breaking through the lows, push up. So I'm betting on price respecting the prior high and looking for continuation. There is a chance we could come deeper and go fill the gap. If that's the case, I'll look for re-entries lower. As long as we don't take out this low, I'm still very much bullish on pound yen, betting on the continuation of the trend. So I will keep an eye on that gap if price does come lower, but I do like the retest of the high at the moment. And yeah, I mean, this trend's been going on for donkeys, for ages. I'm still expecting us to go and test the high here. If you look at euro yen, which is a very similar market to pound yen, that one's actually gone and taken out these highs respective to excuse me, to pound yen as well. So I'm looking for price to basically do what euro yen is doing. The way I'm interpreting pound yen is that we're kind of lagging behind euro yen for the most part, and purely because euro has been a lot stronger than pound in recent weeks. So yeah, I'm bullish for that reason. Let's see how this position does get on. I'm happy with how the structure's kind of developed, really, really corrective on the way down. So that gives me the impression that buyers are going to step back in to push price higher. It looks like this morning we've struggled at some supply there to the left, but I do expect it to break. I do expect the higher time frame to eventually take control of the market. But as I said, if things do come deeper, I'll keep an eye on this kind of zone here as well, because maybe price wants to fill that before continuing, which if that does happen, that'll probably give me an even better risk reward than this trade. So I don't worry about having a second stab with this move. But yeah, pound yen, really like this position, long on that one. And dollar CAD as well, just hopped into this position this morning in a little bit of profit at the moment, but I just took the trade about a couple of hours ago, yeah, on that candle there. Again, I like this one. We're still seeing a lot of momentum in the market. I was looking for a deeper correction for dollar CAD, and I still am, but we do have a pretty clear uptrend, and I like the way price has swept out this low, came back into price structure, and recovered with some really aggressive momentum on the hourly chart. And I'm still looking for USD strength. I'm still backing USD, although it is a little bit in a awkward situation, but we'll go take a look at the DXY in a second. I'm still backing USD strength. That's still very much my plan of action. So I'm looking for a pushback to highs and looking at all the USD pairs as well. I do think USDCAD is probably the better one to trade. CAD's been weak pretty much. We've had a pretty clear uptrend here. Pound USD, Euro USD, dollar CHF's not bad, but Aussie, New Zealand dollar, they've been a bit more corrective. Dollar CAD's been quite aggressive to the upside. So again, betting on the continuation of here for dollar CAD back to highs. I'm not looking for anything crazy. So I do think the market is still quite overextended, and that bigger pullback is still very much on the cards, which I am looking for as well. I'm looking to see maybe if we can get a pullback into this area longer term and pick up some longs again. But that's probably a discussion for a few weeks' time. So for now, I'm still pretty bullish on dollar CAD. Let's see if we can get the continuation back to highs. Let's see if we can get pound yen back to highs as well. There are a few other pairs on the watch list which we can dive into momentarily. I'll go for USD pairs first, and then we can discuss that a little bit later on. What's up, Beck? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Raymond, yes, pound CHF. We shall take a look as well. Actually, I'll quickly jump into pound CHF, and I'll just go through all the USD pairs together. So pound CHF, a pretty bearish market. I mean, it is bearish, but it's super, super corrective, but it has been fairly consistent with these lower lows and lower highs. So the bears can't complain too much, but we are trading at some significant support. So I would be very careful about jumping into any shorts right now, because this for me is a pretty big level. I do think within due time, pound CHF is still likely to come back to this low. If you look at the all-time price action, pound CHF has basically been falling since the beginning of time pretty much. So the chances are we still come low and attack the lows. However, this is still a very credible level of support, and we have seen a lot of buying pressure kick in here, especially with last week's price action, big wick to the downside as price does pull back up. So we might be seeing a bit of a bounce now for pound CHF. I really like that daily candle as well. We might be seeing a bit of a bounce. Now, not necessarily my type of trade, just because I'm going up against all of that high time frame selling pressure. So if I'm going to look for a swing position, I'm always going to be up against it. If you're looking for like a short-term move for like a couple of days, you can get away with that because you're not looking to stay in the trade for too long. Because if you think about it, if you've got a trend that's been going on for years, and still very consistent, breaking lows each time, if you're looking to try and swing that for a couple of weeks or a week to the opposing direction, you're asking for trouble, because with as time continues, the likeliness of that trend continuing increases. If you're just looking for a bet for like the day or 2 days, you can get away with that because pullbacks occur. So with pound CHF, with the rejection we've had, something like this does look likely. But as we come back into supply, where we've been pretty consistent with these lower highs, that's where you start to look to try and take some profit, or at the very least manage your risk. So if price does come back down, you're not taking a losing position from that position, that situation. So yeah, pound CHF, I do think you can take advantage of some short-term buys here. I wouldn't be looking to sell because of the support, obviously. But if you are looking for some counter trend plays, you are positioned well for that. But again, the asterisk there is don't be looking for something crazy. Anything could happen, of course, but you have to bet with probabilities. And as we come back into supply, I'll be careful sellers don't step back in again. So short-term buys, yes. Long-term, I'll still be very, very cautious. Let's go through the USD pairs. So DXY. So I've been saying I'm looking for a bit of strength this week for the dollar. That has very much been my take for probably the past 3-4 weeks now, ever since we had this move here. So yeah, since the end of September, we're looking for the pullback into this zone. We got it. We got the continuation. Now I'm looking for the exact same pattern to repeat in this area here, a push back to resistance. Maybe if things are very serious, we could even look at reversal and a break of those highs. I'm not going to necessarily try and predict that because, again, probability-wise, I'll be up against it. But I can at least try and look for a move back to resistance here. Even if price does eventually roll back over, this move can still be worth looking to profit from. So for now, I do like the buys on the dollar. In terms of the price action on the lower time frames, it's a bit I wouldn't mind if we do come back down to respect support here again. So maybe a bit of a double bottom, or maybe we spike slightly through that. Altogether, this bearish leg has been quite corrective. We haven't seen like aggressive momentum stepping in. So overall, I would still expect higher prices. If the trend was going to continue, I would expect more aggressive price action, sort of like what we saw in dollar CHF last week. This is overall quite corrective. So I'm still betting on USD finding support here and at least having a drive higher, back into this area, and then we'll monitor as we go along, because we still have to show respect to the higher time frame trend, which for the moment is still bearish. The higher time frame is always going to have its have its respect. Of course, it will eventually shift, but until it does, we've got to make sure we keep that in mind. So I do like the buys, but I'll look for something more like this if you're looking to bet on that USD strength there. We might continue from here, but I think that's the smarter move, and that translates into some nice opportunities on euro dollar as well, which is in the same predicament. You got some nice bearish structure, lower lows and lower highs here, but again, we're going up. We're going up against the tide. If we drop to the daily chart, what can we see? A pretty clear uptrend at play. So if we're looking to sell this market, we have to be a little bit considerate of the conditions we're in. If a short is in a bearish market, it makes a lot more sense than a bullish one. But because we have landed back into supply, it does make sense to start looking for some shorts. Again, I wouldn't really be looking for entries here. I think the better place will be back at the highs, looking for us to test that high again, double top it, maybe spike slightly through. That could be a smart place for a short. And then again, betting on a push back to lows, or maybe a push back to this area here. Depends on your risk reward and how aggressive you want to be. Again, the further you target, the less likely prices to get there, just because, again, we're going up against the tide. That bullish momentum can kick in at any point. But yeah, for euro dollar, especially from this zone, I do have a short bias looking for a push lower. We'll see if we can get that drive higher, or maybe price just rolls over from where we're trading. But this week, I am looking at a down move back at least to 1.16, maybe 1.15, if things really do kick off. Pound USD, same situation as Euro, although pound's a little bit more on the choppy side of things. You could very much argue that pound is just in a big range here, and I wouldn't really disagree with you, to be honest. There is a slight bearish structure coming into play with this high, this low, this high, this low, potentially a new lower high forming there. So there is some bearish structure which we can bet on the continuation of, looking for another bearish leg. I still do think pound USD is likely to push back into support, but again, just because the conditions are a little bit choppy, I've decided to trade dollar CAD instead. It's a bit more trending, there's a bit more momentum in the market. We'll see how they all pan out. But I am looking at price pushing back down if we respect this zone here. If we do violate that, I will definitely take a back seat with pound USD, maybe reanalyze or just step back, to be honest, because we're just very much in full swing of this consolidation, and then everything becomes 50-50 really. So I probably would step back at that point. If we can maintain this bearish structure, great. Maybe a bit of a trend can start to form and we can profit on the swings. Let's see if price can respect that this week. If we drop to the lower time frames and investigate the price action on the 4-hour chart, it's just a bit flat right now, which again, not the worst thing in the world. It just means that price is starting to consolidate at this zone, which kind of makes sense. Kind of a battle between sellers and buyers here. So again, if we are going to sell off, again, a good strategy behind this could be looking again for another spike higher, trying to anticipate maybe a double top forming there and price rejecting that to turn around. Because we're quite flat now, I wouldn't want to be entering short positions here because it's a bit 50-50. I'd rather wait for price to spike to the high, then get my stop loss above that, so it's in a really safe position, or wait to see if momentum can enter the market and then maybe look for breaking retest somewhere on the lower time frames, or just short the momentum with a larger stop loss, betting on that momentum continuing. Right now we're very, very flat, so I'm not really seeing much opportunity in terms of entries. Looks like we're kind of in a similar situation to Euro as well. But the plan is, again, if we can respect this high, I do have a short bias here, so not really looking for any intraday longs or any of that. So pound USD, let's see how we develop throughout the week in this area. Still too early to be looking to short, in my opinion anyway. I'll still wait for a bit more development there. And in terms of dollar CAD, which of course we just spoke about, I have entered a long position on this one. Again, simply because we've got a bit more meat in this move here. There's a bit more of a trend. We're seeing forceful moves to the upside, and we're seeing consistency as well. The only thing I don't like about this position is that we are a little bit overextended. But besides from that, if USD is going to kick in and see some strength, we've had a really nice pullback in this leg here. I like the way prices swept some lows, tap into a bigger area of demand there, and recovered with some aggressive momentum. So I've entered some longs on this candle here, stops just a bit below that wick low there, just to give me a bit of wiggle room. And then all I'm doing is betting on a push back to the prior high. The way I'm looking at it is, people were buying here on the break-in retest, expecting price to continue the trend. That didn't quite go to plan. Price took the lows out, potentially taking out the early buys. Now I'm anticipating that strength to kick back in. And if we get to highs, I'll be out the trade here. I'm not looking for any big move, at least on a kind of an intraday scale. I do think longer term we may do something like this, but I would wait for the bigger pullback to kick in before I would bet on a big move. So dollar CAD pretty bullish. Let's see how that position does pan out. Again, I do like the setup a lot, and for me this is probably the best USD pair to trade, just in terms of trend and market structure. Other ones are quite choppy. Aussie dollar likewise as well. This one I do, again, eventually expect us to start bleeding to the downside. We are in a longer term bearish market, but we've been super corrective over the past few weeks. If you look at the bigger picture, very consistent lower highs. I do think eventually we'll roll over. However, we do have support we need to break. We do have structure we need to break, because for the past few weeks, price has been in a pretty consistent uptrend here. And now we're pulling back into areas of demand where, again, buyers could be looking to position themselves well and maybe take advantage of another swing to the upside. So from a seller's perspective, I want to be back in areas of resistance, areas of supply, and that would be up here, which goes back to my analysis last week, because this is basically the zone I was talking about last week. I was more so talking about this area, but again, basically anywhere in here we could pull back. As long as price doesn't take up this high, I'm looking at shorts. So I'm looking to see if we can push up first and then get the sell. This would be a much more respective area to short from. Maybe a bit of trendline confluence creeping into the market there as well. I just think that would be a much better place to position yourself short again for another bearish swing if we are to get one. Here's where the buyers are sitting. I wouldn't really be looking to try and short the market down here. So yeah, Aussie dollar looking for another a bigger pullback into 0.658. We'll see if we can get some entries later in the week. Not really seeing much momentum here, so we'll see how that pans out. If we do sell off from here, so be it. I'm not really interested in position myself there. And for New Zealand dollar, pretty much the same outlook as well, but again, want to see a bigger pullback. This is the zone I like a lot. Pull back into the past swing high, which gave us this. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Which gave us this low here. All I'm looking to do is for price to pull back into structure, back into supply, and then look for my continuations in those areas. As we can see, every time price does sweep a low, we tend to have a pretty big pullback on our hands here. So that's just not the best time for me to be shorting the market. As price creates a new low, we do tend to have a pretty big pullback. So my thinking is this is where the buyers are renting. Let me wait for the buyers to have their fun, and then once we start to drift back into areas of supply, perhaps we could see the buyers take their profit, sellers enter the market, and then bet on a continuation there. So that's what I'm looking at for New Zealand dollar. Not interested in price action here. There might be some counter trend opportunities, but I'm very much just focused on shorting New Zealand dollar for now. So that's really my focus for this pair. And then for gold and silver, still very, very bullish. I do like gold long still. We did have a bit of a violent move down on Friday there, which probably would have taken out some position. I mean, again, everyone's just aggressively buying gold, and why wouldn't you? But it's very interesting because price was kind of very steady on the way up, and then we had a very exaggerated breakout on Thursday, and price, exponentially just blew up there. We almost hit 4,400, and then we came back down just as hard, if not even harder. So it's a sign that we are starting to run out of steam, but I would still just bet on the trend continuing for now until we can actually break some structure or break through some zones, or maybe have a much bigger down move. Then I'll start to pause that bias. But for now, I still do like the gold longs. I'll see what we can do at this low here. So again, looking for price to hopefully sweep the lows, and then looking for continuation, at least back to resistance, but of course more so back to the swing high and probably further as well. So yeah, gold's still looking at buying opportunities until I do see more aggressive momentum or price does start taking out some lows. Then yeah, I'll rethink things or pause my bias. But for now, still very bullish, and I do like what I'm seeing at this area here. There might be some shorts to start the week off. We might push up first and then come back down and then see a buy later on. So you could potentially look for some shorts for some buys, betting on the continuation of that momentum, at least for the first half of the week potentially. Again, slightly more aggressive trade, but we have broken through some lower time frame structure there. Price potentially could come back to retest that before a push down. It's up to you if you want to be shorting gold, but that could be an idea to look at, especially if you're a bit more intraday and if you do want to look to short the market. But for me, I still like the buys, and I still do anticipate more upside. And as for silver, still bullish as well. I don't like it as much as gold. I feel like this one's a little bit more corrective. Again, the trend is still very much evident for us to see. I feel like silver's just a little bit more sluggish in price action, and gold's just a little bit cleaner. So I do think it's better to focus a bit more on gold, at least in my opinion anyway. But as long as silver can respect this low, I'll keep that bullish bias. If you do break through this, of course, I'm still bullish overall, because a break of that low doesn't necessarily change this whole move here. What it might do is it might give us a slightly bigger pullback before we continue on our next leg. So if we do break that low intraday on the hourly chart, I will relax my bullish bias for now. There might be some counter trend shorts at play, but of course within due time, I do expect us to start flying to the upside again. So this is going to be a very critical point to focus on this week. We'll see if price can respect that, especially if you come back down to retest it and we hold. A great place to put your stop loss on to back the continuation there. So overall USD, I'm still framing USD strength. It is a bit more of an aggressive play, but it does make sense based on where we're trading on the DXY. Gold and silver still look very bullish to me until we start breaking through some major lows or maybe see more aggressive bearish momentum. Then I'll rethink things from then. What is up, Tashi? Good morning. Rodrigo, have I said hello? I don't think so. Pound Aussie, yes, we can take a look. Bashi, my man, as always, good to see you. Hope you're doing good. Appreciate it. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the content, enjoying the streams, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Drop any questions, queries, chart recommendations in the chat, and we shall discuss. Price action was pants today in London. Boring charts today. To be fair, I took 2 trades, so for me, it's very active. Born for Bashi, but active for me. To be honest, Pound Yen kind of set up last week. I've just entered this week, so that was more of last week's trade, but I've just only entered now. And dollar CAD did set up for me this morning, some nice momentum on that position. But that's not really because dollar is very, very strong right now. It's more so CAD seeing a bit of weakness. Nice, good. CS, my man, what is up? Welcome to the stream, hope you're well. Bashi, how's Rwanda? Pretty good so far, I'm not gonna lie, pretty good. Weather's been good. It's been raining here and there, but it's been very warm, a lot warmer in the UK, so I can't complain. People are very friendly, food's been pretty good. Done a lot of walking, to be honest. There's a lot of hills here, so fitness has been keeping up to date with, which has been good. But yeah, I mean, having a good time, to be honest. Yeah, we'll go through that. Again, any chart recommendations, drop in the chat. I'll go through Pound Aussie first because Rodrigo did mention that a while ago, but I wanted to go through the USD pairs first. So I'll quickly go through Pound Aussie, and I'll go through my trades for you guys. So yeah, Pound Aussie, I was in a long position, but I did get trailed out of this position last week, Friday, I think. No, Thursday. No, yeah, Friday. So yeah, I did get trailed out on Friday around here, enter down there, exit around there, roughly like a 2.8 R. So not going to complain. Hasn't hit my full target. I still do think price will get there, but I had to be a bit more careful with the position because we still do have some bearish structure going on here. There is some lower highs which I have to be careful of, which price could potentially respect and go back down. I do bet price is eventually going to break that and continue back to the highs here, but I've got to be careful. You know, I've got to think from a trader's perspective rather than what I'm hoping the market's going to do. So I was originally targeting there, but I did trail along the way as momentum continued, and I got trailed out on Friday there. But yeah, as for my longer term bias for Pound Aussie, it's still very much a push back to the high here, betting on this trend continuation. I like the way prices came back for the retest of this high here. We swept this low, really aggressive recovery 2 Fridays ago, really aggressive recovery there, and now I'm kind of just betting on price continuing. But of course, we do have this area to watch out for, so that's why it's a little bit more awkward. If you're going to be focusing on Pound Aussie intraday, I think you'll position well for it because you've got a nice break and retest going on here, and you can bet at least for a push back to highs. Again, if things go very well, maybe a push back to resistance up there around 2.095. But we do have some really healthy structure here, so longs do look good. A push back to resistance, and maybe call it a day there. Or of course, if you want to be a bit more aggressive, you can look for the bigger move. But yeah, Pound Aussie I'm still very bullish on. Higher time frames are still pointing that direction. I like the way we closed back above this low and respected the high. It was very forceful. It's kind of like, okay, the trend might be kick-starting again. And then yeah, lower time frames, we're seeing higher highs and higher lows. Momentum still looks good overall. Still seeing some healthy swings. This pullback relatively corrective as well, which is a good sign. We are a little bit flat here, so you could wait for maybe a strong close, maybe see how this candle is going to close for an entry. Something nice could be if we push up, run the lows, and then have a move. That could be a nice entry as well. But yeah, simply just looking for the pullback of this move for a push back to the high. That is my expectation for pound Aussie. In terms of pound yen and dollar CAD, so I have entered some long positions on these two guys, both early Monday, which is very rare for me, especially entering two trades early Monday. So yeah, quite active start to the week. But I am betting on the continuation of the retest of this high, and us coming back to retest it and form a higher low. This is more of a swing position, but I'm simply just betting on the continuation of this uptrend back to its high over there. I'm still quite bearish on the yen, expecting the yen to remain weak, and pound yen for me looks the best in terms of all the yen pairs to trade. So yeah, we've had a relatively corrective uptrend. It hasn't been moving too well, but it has been pretty consistent with the higher highs and higher lows. I can't complain. We have, of course, broken through resistance here when we had that crazy gap a few weeks back. And then I've been simply just watching pound yen because I wasn't too sure if this gap was the real deal, or if price was just going to go fill the gap, maybe break structure, and this was just a big fake out. Because the pullback has been so corrective, we've seen a lot of wicks on the daily. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, really corrective price action here. Every time price sweeps a low, we have a pretty big recovery. So that tells me that this is most likely a pullback for us to continue that higher time frame trend. And I'm just betting on the retest of the high. And targets remain as this high here. And if things go very well, hopefully this high up there. So that's basically all it is to the pound yen. Nothing crazy. Just looking to see if we can take advantage of those market conditions, which hopefully we start to pick up this trend for pound yen. So you will see how that goes. And then dollar CAD as well, hopped into this one. This is a bit more intraday, looking for price to push back to, again, the swing high. So I hopped into this trade a couple of hours ago. That was 8 a.m. UK time. Again, I really like the way price swept the low here because this was a pretty big consolidation, and buyers and sellers battling in this area. And the way price broke to the downside, swept the lows here, tested a nice area of demand, then recovered really aggressively. That was my green light to take the position. Nothing crazy, only a 1.9, so not even a 1 to 2 back into the high. And I'm being quite conservative with this trade because the only thing I don't like about it is that we are a little bit stretched. We're a little bit overextended. So that is a bit of a for me, but I like the momentum. We're still very aggressive. If I drop to the 4-hour chart, we're still seeing really healthy bullish legs in the market. So that convinces me that we're still healthy. We can still likely bet on a continuation, at least back to the prior high, which is what I'm doing. I am looking for the bigger pullback eventually. I did say a retest of this structure could be nice to bet on the next big swing, and I'm still looking for that, but I'm looking to see if I can take advantage of one more push before maybe we do have that bigger pullback as well. So yeah, bullish on dollar CAD, bullish on pound yen. We'll see how those pairs get going. I have been betting on USD strength coming into the market, but as I've said, I do think dollar CAD is probably one of the better USD pairs to be betting on USD strength because, of course, we're definitely seeing a bit of an uptrend. Pound USD has just been quite flat, although I still do kind of expect a lower high to form, but it's not as favorable as dollar CAD. Same with euro, same with Aussie as well. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with those positions. Good morning, Pascal. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Appreciate it. Bashi dropping the links there. Appreciate it, my man. Good morning, GPJ Forex. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Pascal, could you please... Okay, cross against the end. Okay, cool. Looking for buys H4, H1. Nice. Well, you're in the same camp as me because I'm buying pound yen. To be honest, I probably would buy euro yen and maybe look to buy New Zealand yen again. I did get stopped out New Zealand yen last week, but it has pulled back to a nice area, which tempting to enter a buy, but because I'm already in pound yen, I don't really want to double my risk because both those positions will probably play out together or fail together, of course. So yeah, I'm very much looking for weakness on the yen. That's very much one of my plan, for trading this week, and looking for some strength on the dollar as well. So yeah, we'll go through a bunch of yen pairs. Hey, nice, Bashi. 2 tiny gold limits, 42.30. Okay, cool. We'll take a look at that. I'm looking for some buys in gold this week as well. Francis, yes, Euro Aussie. We'll take a look at 2. You caught some nice buys last week, didn't you? I was looking at some buys there as well, but I didn't quite get my entry. But yeah, beautiful swing for Euro Aussies. Come back down now, so it's a bit awkward. But we shall take a look at that one. Yeah, swing on GJ. Exactly. 2.8 brings me back to when I started trading. No way. Come full circle, Bashi. Come full circle. Anywho, let's go through. We'll go through some of the yen crosses, then we'll take a look at Euro Aussie and gold as well. So in terms of some of the yen crosses, so pound yen I'm currently trading. I do like New Zealand yen. I was tempted to enter back into this one, but I just thought pound yen was a slightly better trade, especially because of the momentum in it, and pound has been a lot stronger than NZD. All you need to do is look at pound against the New Zealand dollar, and you can see it's been a very, very consistent uptrend, and not really looking like it's slowing down. Maybe a pullback, yes, but I'm not necessarily saying any reversals just yet. So for that reason, I do think pound yen's the better trade, and technically it looked better as well. So yeah, pound yen just looking for the break and retest, betting on the continuation back to the high. New Zealand yen, we've pulled back into a very, very strong level of support. Just look to the left, prices bounced a couple times really aggressively. We're bouncing again. Can we look for price to eventually push back to resistance? Possibly. Depends what NZD wants to do, because that's been a pretty weak currency. But I like what we're doing. As long as we stay above this and we don't break through, I do think eventually we'll start to claw back to resistance there. So I do think New Zealand yen looks like a smart trade. Whether you're waiting for price to retest it again or you're already in the trade, I do think the buys make a lot of sense there. In terms of, let's say, dollar yen's a bit more interesting because it's just a bit more awkward. Because we have a very sluggish uptrend, but we also have to be quite careful about the high time frames as well. We've got these lower highs here, and I don't really want to be buying into this trend line here, because if this trend line is going to continue, that will be the prime location for us to continue. So if you are looking to buy dollar yen, if that is your bias, then in terms of positioning, I would be looking more so down here where that gap is. These are where the high lows are continuous. We've got one over there, we've got a second, we've got a third. Can we look for a fourth here? I think that would be a great place to position yourself long. You're away from that trend line. Price is pulling back into structure, which we've bounced many occasions, and you can bet for that to happen again, and provided we see some healthy rejection and nothing crazy from the bears there. So I do think this is a smart place to long, and of course you would fill the gap there too. So 2 birds, 1 stone, and that would be a great place to buy. Right now we're kind of dancing at this high here, so it's a bit of an awkward situation. There's price breaking back underneath to retest to go lower, or we're retesting to potentially go higher. It's a little bit 50-50, but here you can be a bit more certain with the buys. And if price does break through, well, maybe that lower high is forming on the weekly chart, and then from then on we can look for pullbacks on the way down to that low. So we'll discuss that when the time is right. But for now, for dollar yen, not really liking the buys here, not really liking the sells either, especially when the move has been super corrective. It's not like we've seen an aggressive recovery, which the shorts could look good after that. It's been super corrective, so I wouldn't bet on the continuation of that. But here, yeah, makes sense, and the risk reward looks pretty good if you can take it back to the highs as well. So dollar yen, I would say 148, keep an eye on. Anywhere else, not too interested. CAD yen been super corrective, and to be honest, probably my least favorite yen pair. It's just horrendous. Look at this trend here. What is that? That looks hectic to me. And then we do have the possibility that we are forming lower highs, coming back into some structure up here, which gave us this swing. That is a possibility as well. Always have to weigh up both options from bears and from bulls as well. So yeah, I just don't see a great opportunity, because nothing is overwhelmingly pointing down and nothing is overwhelmingly pointing up for CAD yen. So I'm a bit at a crossroad with this yen pair. Again, I am bearish on the yen, so my instincts would be a push higher, but that's not based on any technical analysis really. So there just isn't a trade there. So yeah, CAD yen, I don't really have too much to say. I mean, we have come back and filled most of the gap. You know, this could act as support and push us higher. But I wouldn't get so thrilled with that opportunity. I think there are better opportunities elsewhere in the markets, really. And if we take a look at Swiss yen, yes, CHF-JPY has been very bullish, probably the most bullish out of all the yen pairs because CHF's been so strong. You know, prices creating new all-time highs. Pretty much every other week. We've got a big psychological level at 200. Perhaps we could be attracted there, maybe. Keep an eye on that. We've just hit 190, which is another big level as well. But yeah, for buying opportunities for Swiss yen, we're looking a bit flat here. So I'm not over the moon to jump into any buys. But if we can come back, maybe retest the high, that could be a smart buy, or even just a double bottom at this low here, because we're so bullish. The chance that price respects support and just continues is actually pretty high as well. You don't have to be looking for some complex, pattern. Sometimes when things are very bullish, support just holds and the market just continues. So as long as we reject well, that could very much be a nice place for a buy, or perhaps the retest of the prior high here. But again, I won't be surprised if we do see some new highs this week for Swiss yen as well. So yeah, yen pairs pointing up to me. Not all of them look brilliant. Some better than others, but primarily I'm expecting more upside there. As for Euro Aussie, so again, it's starting to become into a bit of a consolidation now, because last week I liked the buys because we had a really aggressive reaction the week before, and all I was looking to do is bet on a push back into resistance, and you're back into that level. I do think longer term Euro Aussie could be making a push there. So I do think there's more upside to be had for Euro Aussie, but do I like the buys now? No, because we are kind of respecting resistance. We could break out, of course, but I don't really want to try and find that out with a trade. If I'm going to look to take some buys in Euro Aussie, maybe price has a move back into these lows again, and then I look for buys, around this area here. I would just feel a lot more comfortable down there, even though I kind of do expect us to eventually break out. I'd rather wait for us to get that breakout and then maybe look to trade the gap between the breakout and then this high here. And this becomes a nice tradable range to take advantage of. So that would be something I'll be interested in for Euro Aussie. I'm not really interested in the sells because I think the buys are going to be the bigger move. So I'd rather just focus on taking longs. So yeah, Euro Aussie is not my favorite pair right now because of the move we made last week. We've hit resistance. Now it's kind of okay. Let's see what the next move the market wants to make. Maybe there could be some buys again here intraday to push higher, but I'd rather trade Pound Aussie just because Pound Aussie doesn't have a massive roof above our heads here. The next big level for Pound Aussie is still up there. We haven't come to retest it, so I can still bet on Pound Aussie making that move. Whereas with Euro Aussie, we've already smashed into resistance, so I'm kind of betting for price to go and smash into it again, which of course could happen, but I'd rather try and trade Pound Aussie because there's a bit more room to the upside. I'm still bullish on both currency pairs, but I think Pound Aussie looks a little bit clean in my opinion. Okay, so I'll have a quick look at our perch platform, and then we'll take a look at some gold ideas Bashu's got. I'm looking to trade gold as well. Edison, what's up? Welcome to the stream. USD might be strong these coming days. Yeah, I'm looking at the same idea as well. I'm backing some USD strength as well. It's not something I'm gonna die on a hill on, because if you look at the dollar, it's not overly bullish. It has been bullish for the past maybe 2-3 weeks, with this move here. But there's always that possibility that we could just kick on and come back to lows. Price did respect supply last week here, which is not the best sign for buyers. So it's not a hill I'm willing to die on, but as we've approached this area of demand and we have had a really corrective push down, I do like the buys in the short term, at least for a push back into that kind of zone which we briefly consolidated and broke out of. Price may come back and respect and roll back over, may even form a low high and roll back over, but I do think we can bet at least a push back to 99, maybe 99.5 this week. If we can break through, brilliant, and if we go and break structure on the higher time frame, even better. And then we can really look for a lot more USD strength, because this could be a bottom for this bearish move, and perhaps we're going to see a new trend form, and that could be a really nice end to the year, to be honest. So yeah, there is some upside potential, but just being a bit more cautious. So yeah, guys, if you haven't checked out the Perps platform yet, I have dropped it in the chat. I do recommend to go check it out, especially if you're interested in trading perps, or if you just want to see what all the fuss is about and you haven't traded perps before. Very, very similar to trading CFDs. You're betting on price speculation. If price goes up and you're buying, you make money. If price goes down and you're selling, you lose money. It's exactly like futures, but perpetual. The contracts don't time out. And of course, everything on this platform is decentralized, so no restrictions. Everyone can come and trade. And if you do have a Solana or Ethereum wallet, you can connect it directly to the platform, and everything is all withdrawals can be done pretty much automatically. Everything's settled instantly. You can withdraw straight away as soon as you close your trade. You have to request and wait 2 days or whatever for a withdrawal. Everything is pretty much instant. You've got a bunch of cryptocurrencies to trade. We will be adding FX markets, commodities on the platform as well, so do look out for that. And one of our prize features is the AI assistant tool. That's the main kind of theme behind the Zenfrix project, is building AI into the tools traders use to take our game to the next level. And that tool provides support resistance levels, trade opportunities, sentiment analysis, and a lot more as well. So I highly recommend to go check it out. It is linked at the top of the chat if you haven't checked it out. I do have like a full video on my channel breaking down how to use the platform as well. Okay, so yeah, we'll go take a look at gold. And okay, yeah, short-term buys back up to 100 to 100.2. Okay. That's not really short-term, is it, Bashi? That's a good at least a week or two worth of price action. You're starting to talk like me now. When I say short term, I mean like a month's worth of price action, which is not short term at all. Well, it depends on your perspective. Yeah, of course. 102 is going to be very interesting. I mean, if we break through the high here, I would be shifting my bias on the higher time frames. And by high time frame, I mean the daily chart. But we'll see what we can do here, because we need to get this going. Anyway, let me go take a look at gold. Yeah, that's a good point. Trump does do that often, doesn't he? It's funny because sometimes because normally I'm talking from like a swing perspective. Of course, now I'm doing a bit more intraday trading, so I'll be talking about that more often. But a lot of my streams previously, I'm talking about swing trades. So when I go, okay, I'm looking for a short-term move here, people think I'm talking about like, okay, for the session or maybe for the day. And most of the time I mention like 1 to 2 weeks. So I always have to remind myself that, not everyone is looking at the same time perspective as me. And I always need to make sure that when I say short term, I'm actually referencing the time period. Because there'll be many times where I say short term and then people are like, well, you said short term and you're looking for like a 200 pip move. So yeah. So that just reminded me of it. But yeah, in terms of gold, I'm looking at buys as well. My goal is for a push lower than a buy in this area. That's where I'm focused on this week for gold. You mentioned you got some small limit orders, 42.30. Let me drop to like a 50-minute chart. 42.30, so you're over here. So I assume as price comes back into this low, and you've got 42.10 down here. So I suppose back in here somewhere maybe. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at a price coming a little bit lower, but of course, if you do maintain the structure here, then you're expecting price to hold here to continue higher. Yeah, I mean, we're still actively looking to try and buy gold, aren't we? The market is still, for me, very, very bullish as a whole. Yes, we've had a bit of a sell-off here, but we haven't done anything significant, have we? So because of that, I still remain bullish. And because of this sell, it might actually be a nice opportunity to buy, because sometimes, or previously anyway, sometimes gold will have like a really big pullback, a really violent move down, and that actually will be the kickstart of the next big wave. So sometimes when you do see these more dramatic pullbacks, it's actually a sign for a lot more to come. So the risk reward could actually be very, very nice here actually. So yeah, very, very bullish on gold. I'm looking at a slightly deeper correction, more so because I'm looking to trade like an hourly chart, where you're probably a bit more intraday. But yeah, if we do respect structure, we do keep up these higher lows, then we can very much respect the low and continue. Could push down maybe New York and then find support and be on our way. The thing is, with this type of price action, it's not so much about trying to find the best opportunity, because in a market this aggressive, it's more about being aggressive as well. Because if you're trying to wait for all these kind of metrics, components to line together, what you will find is you'll miss a lot of trades, because that kind of method does work a lot with more maybe lightly trending markets, which is more common. Something as aggressive as this is something where you're not looking for a lot, to be honest, to get into a trade. You're looking for a bit of a pullback, some strength coming back into the market, and then boom, gold's gone again. So you don't necessarily need to wait for anything really crazy to set up here. And you can be buying higher, expecting higher prices. Normally I'm looking for big pullbacks. But yeah, if you're waiting for big pullbacks in gold, you wouldn't have seen any since the breakout. Since we let fly here, this is the biggest pullback we've got. Everything else, maybe this here, or actually no, this is the biggest pullback we've got now. But before that, it would have been either of those two moves, which are not even that big in retrospect. So yeah, very, very bullish stuff from gold, and I wouldn't be surprised if you do push higher. Exactly, yeah, exactly. 2 to 3% drop. The thing is, we had a 4.5% drop on Friday last week. This was 4.5%, and I measured this, well, near 4.5, and I measured that as the biggest pullback we've had since the breakout of the high here. So since late August, that's the biggest down move gold's seen. So another 2-3% would take us about here-ish, which again is not much, to be honest. It's not much. I mean, that's kind of where I want to buy from, really. Another 2-3% on gold is not much at all. But yeah, looking at this, not trying to be too intricate, this is still a very, very bullish market, and I think buys are looking really good. So for me, I'm waiting for price to push back into this low. Hopefully that will take out some early buys, and then I'll look to step in and see what I can do. If price does break through this zone, I still would be pretty bullish. I'd probably be looking at buys down here, to be honest. It depends how we get there. If it's really aggressive and we're seeing like huge bearish candles, then I'll be a bit cautious. But if it's like a drop and then price slows down, and then drops again, then yeah, I'm just expecting that to eventually kick bullish again. But yeah, that's very much my plan this week for gold. To be fair, if I can long gold, long dollar CAD, and long pound yen this week, I think that's a pretty good week. Of course, we'll see if they actually play out. Okay, fair enough, that zone, yeah. 1530 for gold. Day or two, okay. Yeah, pretty much the same page there, actually, same page. The thing is, though, we talk all about this and the setup there. I literally would not be surprised if gold just goes and does this now and just leaves us in the dust, because it's done that about 10 times to me in the past few weeks here. So I'm trying to be more and more aggressive each time, actually. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you just kick off doing that. Silver looks a bit more corrective, so I'm focusing more on gold. I'm not as big fan of silver anymore. I mean, it's still very bullish as well, but it just looks a little bit more choppy. Gold's quite clean in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see if we can get a nice buy. And then I'll just trail stops with the position. I might have like a target here to book some profits, just for to keep the position healthy, but I'll be looking to keep at least 50% trailed, and just see how far we can go. You never know with gold, especially in these conditions. Maybe we have a ginormous breakout, maybe price just tags the highs, comes straight back down. I have no idea. Of course. Yeah, very true. Yeah, if the pullback is small, yeah, you can still take advantage of it as well. If the pullback's bigger, you can still take advantage of that too. So yeah, we'll keep a very close eye on gold. In terms of my watch list this week, there's not many on. Pound yen longs, which I'm already trading. Dollar CAD longs, which I'm already trading. Gold longs, still looking to trade. Aussie CHF shorts, I like this one a lot. Similar to pound yen, it's a market which has been super bearish. I'm expecting new lows past this point. The reason why I like Aussie CHF a lot is because we've failed to try and continue like 3 times here. 3 attempts to try and reverse, basically all failed, and now price breaks the downside through lows. So that to me is a clear sign the buyers are just not doing their job, and the sellers are still very much in control. So I like it because we've tried to go bullish, it's failed, so now I'm more confident with the shorting. And also, Aussie CHF is the only CHF pair, to my calculations, that hasn't made a new all-time low recently, apart from maybe pound CHF as well. I think pound CHF hasn't. But even Swiss yen all-time high. So CHF has been so strong. Pretty much all other CHF pairs have been making new all-time highs or new all-time lows, apart from pound CHF, and maybe Euro CHF very close to making new all-time lows as well. But Aussie CHF has been lagging behind. So I do think this one is still set to keep dropping to follow the theme of what other CHF markets have been doing. So the odds of price doing this is pretty high versus suddenly reversing and turning bullish. Of course, anything can happen, but as a trader, you got to deal with probabilities. What's the probability we keep going, we sweep the lows? A lot higher than us suddenly reversing. So I can be quite confident with the short bias. Now it's just about finding opportunities to actually trade that. And I did speak about this zone here. I quite like the idea of a pullback there. This is our last bearish leg. And I quite like if we can get a pullback 50%, 0.618. I think I'll be very comfortable trying to swing that lower. I was debating a break and retest here, but the market is just a little bit too choppy for a break and retest. Break and retest work well when we are seeing a lot of heavy trending conditions. This is trending heavily if you zoom out and look at the bigger picture. But if you focus on this, it's been quite flat. So I would prefer the slightly deeper pullback and then the short. But I don't know, the market can do whatever it likes. It might break and retest and continue, but yeah, I'm not quite happy with that idea just yet. So I'm looking to see if we can push a little bit deeper, maybe trend to the upside the first half of the week, and maybe the latter stages we get that short opportunity, lower high, betting on at least a push back to the low, but of course betting on new all-time lows. And because I'm quite confident with the swing as well, if we do pull back well, I'll be looking to add positions on the way down too. So maybe I can get 2-3 opportunities on the way down and really take advantage of that swing. So yeah, I like what I see. I like what I'm seeing here with Aussie CHF. We'll see if we can get some entries. So this one is on the watch list as well. So Aussie CHF, pound yen, dollar CAD, gold, and there was one more. Was there one more? No, there wasn't actually. I did like Euro CAD and pound CAD, but they're a bit more corrective, so I didn't really include them. Yeah, so those are actually the pairs that I like the most. And I'm already trading 2 of them. One of them is not too far away from gold. I think Aussie CHF is a bit more of a trade for later stages of the week, so I won't worry too much about that one just yet. But for now, we'll see how dollar CAD gets going. In a little bit of profit at the moment, moving okay. Again, we haven't really seen dollar being super strong just yet. I'm more so relying on CAD being weak right now. I mean, if the dollar can do that, fantastic. That would really help on my trade. But CAD's been so weak, and it looks like it is still weak here as well. So that's kind of where the strength came from this morning, for this entry. So if CAD can stay weak, brilliant. USD maybe pick up some strength this afternoon. Perhaps we do get the swing. I'll call it a day back at the high. Not the biggest risk reward there, but to be fair, I did take I think it was like a 2.4R of some buys here a couple of weeks ago. So if we can capitalize on that swing and this swing all together, that's probably near enough. Well, not far off 5R, maybe about 4.5R there. So I'll happily take that from 2 positions. In terms of pound yen, this one 2.4R, I think if it does play out, 2.5. Again, nothing crazy. Slightly smaller risk rewards at the moment. I try to make sure if I can average at least around 1 to 3. That's always a nice place. But if it does drop, around the 1 to 2 mark, it's not the end of the world. I do try and let the market dictate my risk reward. So when the time is right, I'll try and push for bigger trades and bigger risk rewards. If I have to be a bit more tight in that department, then I will be. But yeah, this is the other position I've got going on as well. I did want to enter the long over here actually, but if you look at the time of this candle when it did close, it was actually 10 p.m. on Friday. So as the week does end there. So it's always a bit of an awkward situation if you're going to get a trade signal as the weekly candle closes, especially going into the weekend as well, where potentially we could get gap 2. We had a really violent one a few weeks ago. I was a bit cautious that we could open with another big one this week. Of course, we can see that wasn't the case. But yeah, I have found the entry a little bit higher than I would have wanted, but only a small margin, doesn't change the risk reward that much. Stop loss still in the same place, so practically the same trade, just a little bit later on the entry. And same targets as well, push back to the high. At least I'll probably start looking to manage the trade when we get here though. So yeah, pound yen, I like the retest, a lot of conviction, betting on the continuation of this trend here. Pretty safe bet in my opinion. I'm looking at all the other yen pairs, they do look good for buys too, bar maybe 2 of them. I was actually looking at euro yen buys too, but I like pound yen a little bit better just because euro yen, we've actually seen some new highs on the daily chart. So because we've done that, we're always in a situation where maybe a pullback could be on the cards soon. Pound yen, we haven't taken out that same high yet. That same high is just a little bit higher up, which is where I'm betting for price to get to. So I always like trading the catch-up trade. I always like taking advantage of the catch-up opportunity. For example, if you have a lot of the major metals all looking very, very bullish and trending well, but let's say silver is consolidating and hasn't started trending yet, well, there's a good opportunity, there's a good chance that silver is eventually going to break out and start trending like the other metals that are trending well. Or an example of the yen, if a lot of yen pairs are trending well, taking out highs, and one yen pair hasn't done that yet, there's a good chance that that same yen pair is eventually going to make that move too. So I like trading the catch-up trade, which is basically the market or the pair or whatever in a certain asset class or correlation, which is lagging behind the others. So if I can find a market that's lagging behind the others, of course, still give me a good technical setup as well. It's not a situation where, okay, it's lagging, so let me just buy. It has to be a good technical setup to warrant the trade as well. But if I can find a good technical setup and I know other markets correlated to this one are ahead of it, or in sync as well, I know there's a good chance of a catch up too. So I quite like that aspect of the trade as well for pound yen. Euro yen's already made new highs, and Swiss yen as well, still very, very bullish. But again, still creating new highs as well. I feel like pound yen's got some catching up to do. Same thing with New Zealand yen as well. But pound's just a bit stronger at the moment, so I think that'll be the better trade, at least for this week, unless that changes. True, very true. Could be a bit of a fake out, especially at such a major high. Yeah, I would like that as well. If we could see euro pound take a bit of a turn, that means pound strength is kicking in, and then we could actually see the capture come into play. But yeah, I just don't like it. I don't like taking trades. Yeah, Dayan, we could take a look at euro for you, no problem. Yeah, I don't like taking trades as soon as we take out a high. I don't mind if we take out the high and then start to continue to trend, then yeah, that's fine. I don't mind taking those pullbacks there, but I don't like taking the first pullback as we do take out a major high, because that's always a sensitive situation. Maybe it is legit a breakout, but the chances are it could very much be a bit of a fake out. There'll be a lot of liquidity above here. We could run the highs and then push back down too. So I would be quite cautious of that. So I want to look for more evidence that this trend is going to continue, which would be another leg higher. Then yeah, I wouldn't mind looking for the pullbacks, because I can be a bit more assured this trend is actually going to continue, because we've just pulled back and created new highs. So this would be the better trade for me, rather than the first pullback after a major high is taken out. Sometimes there's a bit of a trap there. So yeah, euro yen's just a bit of an awkward situation. And for that reason, I'm staying away from it and focus a bit more on pound. And of course, euro pound may take a dive too, failing at resistance a bunch of times now. Really, really struggling. This one could be warming up for a bit of a move down soon, which would imply pound is seeing some strength again, at least compared to euro anyway. And that hopefully could allow pound yen to catch up with euro a little bit. In terms of euro USD, so I did talk about this one earlier, and I basically said I do have a bearish bias. I'm not in love with the shorts, hence why I'm not looking to trade it. But I do think we can see a bit more downside. We had a pretty good reaction actually last week. We came into the zone, wicked into it pretty aggressively. Nice close down the 4-hour chart. So it was a nice rejection. I was looking for a bit more like a double top to form. Still am. I think that would be a nice opportunity there. But yeah, I am looking for a push lower into this zone. I'm not crazy bearish on euro. I'm not like expecting price to bleed, although that could be the case. If I zoom out to like a weekly chart, we have pulled back into a very interesting area. If you look at these past swings, we've got one high here, big drop down, second high here, big drop down, third high here. We are in an area which we could really tank, but again, I'm not looking to try and catch a weekly swing. So I'm not too concerned about that right now. I'd rather just wait for price to actually reverse and then try and bet on the continuations as we continue. So I'm well aware of where we're trading, and it could be the start of a massive down move, but like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to look for that big of a move, so I'm not too bothered about that. What I am concerned about is this bearish structure here. Low, high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Again, we could be looking to form another lower high here for another swing. So we are well positioned to capitalize on shorts. The only reason why I'm a bit more cautious is because we have been in an uptrend. So the probability of us catching a nice bearish swing is always going to be a little bit lower in this circumstance. Especially where we're positioned here too. So I would be cautious as price comes back down into this area, because we could see buyers enter the market again, and maybe that uptrend still has life, life to give, and still can trend higher. So as we get to 1.162, I'll start to be a bit more cautious. If you're looking to short euro, if you're not already short, I like the shorts up there. I think entering shorts now is just a little bit on the difficult side of things. I'm not really seeing much opportunity there, to be honest. So yeah, if we can push back into resistance, and then we can hopefully find some shorts higher up, and same thing with the DXY as well. If the DXY can push back down into support there, that would be a nice place for a buy, and then maybe a push back into resistance. Yeah, maybe we do make that push, but I don't really see an opportunity to find that trade, at least based on how I position myself. Okay, don't mind buying all-time highs, but that's because low time frame can sometimes give direction, and there's always that risk, to be honest. GJ much better. Yeah, I mean, again, if you can time things a little bit more intraday, you can be in and out as well. Like, you don't necessarily need to capitalize on a huge move to be successful. Of course, the more risk reward, the better. But with the intraday, you can kind of wait for things to maneuver and develop first, and then you can still trade it. But as on the 4-hour chart, it's a bit harder. Okay, so by your profile picture, I'm going with Old Golden Bones as your name, which I've been referring to you for the past like 2 years or something like that. But the new name says Trench Life Hero, so I don't know if I'm referring to the same person, because of course the name tags have changed on the streams. But what's up? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, the thing is, in that case, it's different though. In that case, it's different because gold's very, very bullish. So buying at all-time highs is actually not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. Because every time price creates a new high, it continues, and creates a new high, it continues. Euro yen is not in the same condition as gold. It's not as aggressively bullish. So I wouldn't be as confident buying at all-time highs for euro yen, especially for FX pair, which on the long term consolidates a little bit more. I'll be a bit more cautious. Gold, on the other hand, especially when we're in this historic breakout situation, yeah, buying all-time highs makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? But again, it does go back to context, which is huge, because you can have the same idea buying at all-time highs, and it makes perfect sense for gold, but buying at all-time highs in like Euro USD probably doesn't make any sense to me. Unless you're looking for a very short-term move, you're going to be in and out. Looking for a big swing trade, not the best place to position yourself. So that's where the market context really comes into play as well. Same strategy, different markets. One's probably a bit successful, one's successful, one probably won't be as, if at all. No problem, Dan. Happy to help. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Forex way more sus. A lot more components, more of a stagnant market. You have to be very, very careful. Let me get the dollar CAD trade up so you can have it on split screen. Keep an eye on it. Don't need pound yen. That's more of a swing trade. But yeah, Forex a lot tougher. I think that's one of the big lessons to learn as well. Just market context and when to use a strategy, when not to use it. Because if you have a trend following strategy, okay, it is you. Good. Just don't change the profile pic. Actually, I mean, I know your name's Trench Life Hero now, so you can change your profile pic. But if you did change your profile pic, I would have no idea if it's you. Exactly. But yeah, when you are looking at trading, because trading is all about moments. You're trading a moment. You're not investing here. And that's something completely different. Trading is all about moments. And if you do have a strategy in line with trend following momentum, betting on momentum continuing, you need to make sure that there's sufficient momentum in the chart to begin with, in the market to begin with. If you're looking at a very choppy pair like Euro Pound right now, and you're looking to try and follow momentum, you're going to find it very, very hard to make money. Maybe you can, but very, very hard to do so, and you won't be that profitable just because of the nature of the market. If you have a trend following strategy, especially a really aggressive one, and you're focusing on gold right now, you'll be making very, very healthy returns because gold is super, super aggressive. Momentum is there. You don't need much of a pullback for gold to rip through the highs again. And if you do have that type of strategy, or you can bend your strategy into being a bit more aggressive, gold will be very, very fruitful for you right now. Of course, when that does start to shift though, and gold becomes a bit more relaxed or maybe consolidate, you need to recognize that and hold off a little bit, because if you keep trading aggressively, you start to give back your profits. But yeah, just understanding that market context could actually be the difference between profitability and break even, or unprofitability even, because you'll be basically picking better trades. You don't necessarily need to improve your understanding of how to find a better entry. It's more so just trading at the right time, really, or trading the right market, and that could be the difference between your P&L flatlining or your P&L pointing up. And that's just trade selection, which is why I trade so many markets, because I like to pick the best conditions for my strategy. And looking at multiple markets allows me to pick that. If I had one market, then I would have to wait for those conditions to arrive, which could take a while. Nothing wrong with that as long as you can wait. Of course, and its behavior too, of course. Many times where I've been trying to trade a strategy, and the markets I'm trading, which FX, which does trend from time to time, but most of the time trends are quite light, and they don't last forever. There's been many times when I'm trying to trade a strategy and it doesn't work out, and then I always think it's the strategy's problem, when looking back, 9 times out of 10, it's the way I'm trading, it's the markets I'm applying it to, or the time which I'm applying the trade. Because it's not necessarily the market's fault, because there will be times where even Euro Pound will have some really nice trends. But if I'm trading Euro Pound when it's consolidating with a trending strategy, of course I'm going to lose money. So a lot of the time you think it's the strategy's fault, and then you have to go find a new strategy, or try and find how you can refine it or improve it, when there's actually nothing wrong with the strategy. It's just your trade selection is not suiting you. Because you can look at some of the great traders who have come before us. A lot of them have revealed the ways they've made money with the strategy they've made. Very, very simple strategies. Very, very simple strategies. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You just have to have your timing on point, which is difficult. But at least it allows you not to go through the drama of just finding a new strategy not working, finding a new strategy not working. At least okay, I've got a strategy. Let me actually know when to trade this. Let me try and find how to trade this. Yeah, true. So yes, very, very true. again, and that's just kind of how to play it really, in terms of lower time frame is bullish, so you're taking advantage of that lower time frame move and being cautious that higher time frames can come back and, you know, make this sink again. So you need to be a bit cautious of that. But yeah, we are seeing some intraday strength coming to, I mean, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I mean, you could probably much argue that it's kind of flat right now. But yeah, you're definitely right. We are bearish higher time frames, so you have to be cautious of that. If you're looking for a big swing trade, you know, betting on something like this happening, that's fine, but you have to realize that you do have a lot of trouble ahead. Maybe price does go and break through that, but you know, if the trend's going to continue, chances are it's not. So, you know, keeping it a bit more intraday, taking advantage of a short-term move back to highs makes sense. You can look for that bigger swing if you want, but, you know, have some type of management plan in case price doesn't break through this and it does roll back over. You know, do you have a management plan to scale out of that? Take some small wins at least, or at least a break even, if you are going to be betting on a bigger move. But we have pulled back into a nice area of demand. I like how we're reacting. I did say we're nice for a bit of a double bottom there, but I'm not too sure if we'll see it. Looks like momentum's starting to pick up intraday. Okay, switch to neutral to mineable for DXY if it stays above 98.5. Okay, I suppose that's for your intraday bias, or maybe intra-week. But yeah, I'm pretty much looking at a similar outlook as well. Yusuf, good morning, man. I hope you're doing good. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're good. Silver, gold, are they diverging? Let's have a look. See, gold. Let me drop like intraday. Okay, that's gold's 50-minute chart. Silver, what we doing? Maybe a little bit. I mean, silver past 50 minutes has been more bearish than gold, but it looks like gold struggled. Gold struggled to push through that high there. I wouldn't necessarily say they're diverging. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that. Silver's looking a little bit more bearish, I think, just because we're looking a little bit more tired on silver. But yeah, I don't see too much differences other than maybe silver's a bit ahead of gold right now. Okay, fair enough. I want to talk to you about creating a trading bot. Oh, okay. You can DM me on Discord or Instagram. Because that is an interesting topic. So yeah, if you join the Discord, you can just message me through that directly, personal message, or you can direct message me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is in the description. Nice, congrats Bashi. That's what we like to hear. Okay, like the equal highs. Yeah, maybe price might go run the highs first before pushing down. Eric, yes, we can take a look at pound yen for you, no problem. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If gold drops, we could be seeing a move there. Which is why I said earlier that could be a nice trade intraday. I'm just focusing on the buys for now for gold. I'm not trying to get too intricate. I've been burnt once on gold. I had I've had 2 short trades in the past probably 3-4 weeks with gold. One was a loss, one was a break even. Could have been a small win, but I had to close the trade because there was some news coming out at the time. I can't remember what news it was. I think it was CPI maybe? Or was it Fed interest rate? One of the two. Which actually did almost hit my full target for that position, but I had to close out early. And then, yeah, the second gold trade I took was a loss. So I'm like, okay, shorts on gold are not working out right now. Let me focus a bit more on longs. Let's take a look at pound yen. So pound yen, I'm actually long in this position. Let's look at it on this chart actually. Pound yen, I'm actually long in this one. It's more of a swing trade, so I'm not looking for price to hit targets tomorrow, although that would be nice. I'm looking for the retest of this high here, betting on the continuation of this lovely trend. It's been super corrective, but since we had that gap and then that continuation, really aggressive move, I've liked the momentum. And then I was kept a close eye on the pullback because there is that possibility price could come back to fill the gap, and that is still evident. That still could happen. But I like how price has slowed down. We're starting to see some wicks on the daily chart. I really like Friday's candle, nice piercing wick to the downside, pullback. Above that, I like the 4-hour chart. Every time we do sweep a low, we recover it, which of course is what's giving us the wicks on the daily. But the main takeaway is that we've had a really impulsive push and now we're looking really corrective. And price, of course, is now pulled back to retest prior high, which I'm now betting to hold as support and betting for price to continue. And then, yeah, I'm looking for a push back to the high there, which is 207.6. At least the high here, of course, but more so the high time frame level. So nothing crazy here for pound yen, apart from there's a lot of momentum in the market. I'm simply just betting on the continuation of that. We had a nice corrective pullback, clear cut break and retest. Now I'm betting on that momentum. So I am long on pound yen. At the very least, looking for a push to 204.8. But I will be trying to stick it out and see if I can get to 207.6, maybe even further as well. Because if yen weakness is going to remain, there's a lot of upside potential, but I'll probably look to add more positions rather than just keep that one going. So yeah, pound yen pretty bullish. That's the entry I have. Could have had a better entry if I entered last week, but it was a bit awkward timing, so I've entered there. Risk to reward still 2.5, so I'm happy with that if it does play out. And yeah, we'll see how this trade does get going. But yeah, definitely a swing position, so gotta be patient. Yusuf, thoughts GJ, UJ and AC on the 15th, no problem. Okay, fair enough, yeah, of course. We've just been too bullish to short, really. All right, cool. Yeah. So just DM me whenever. I'm quite busy today, but if I don't respond later today, I'll make sure I respond in the morning. I appreciate that, Bashi. Yeah, guys, drop a like if you're enjoying the stream. Subscribe to the channel. Check out the channel memberships if you are interested. Added perks there, trade signals, members only videos. Check them out if you haven't done so already. And of course, drop any chart recommendations, any pairs you're looking to trade, or any other questions. We'll be happy to discuss. But let's take a look at, I'll look at GJ here on the 15 because I don't want to mess with the position there. So take a look at GJ over here on the 15. Let's start fresh. So GJ, like I said, we're looking for price to basically respect the high here, and then looking for a push back to resistance here. And then we've also got extended targets. We're betting for price to go and test. As for the 15-minute, that's where it gets a little bit awkward because you got to be a bit more cautious of these swings here. Price has been respecting these lower highs. One over there, push down, creates a low. Another lower high, push down, creates a new low. So as a 15-minute, on the 15-minute chart, you have to be quite cautious of that high. I would be looking for a higher low to form here for pound yen and then us to continue based on my high time frame analysis. But the smarter trade for pound yen would be letting all of this noise settle down and waiting for price to shift and start to break structure. Because once we do that, we kind of put the momentum back with the buyers, and then the probability of now price getting back to this high is very, very high. So if you can find a pullback in between here and there, there's a very high chance that that pullback does play out, no matter kind of the strategy you have really. So yeah, that would be the smart trade or the safer trade, the more conservative trade, the high probability trade. I just gave that about 5 different names there. But yeah, I would wait for that structure to that high to break, and that really puts everything in favor. Because if you're taking a buy here, you are technically in bearish conditions here on the 15. So you're kind of going against that, and you're not necessarily buying from like a significant area. You haven't come back to like a significant area of demand or support. So it's just more of a tougher call. Not to say it won't work out, it's just a tougher call. Waiting for us to take structure here and looking for the next pullback, that's a really nice trade. That's a trade that I'll look to take every day of the week, especially intraday. And then you can push that back to highs and even further and really turn that into a big risk reward as well. So yeah, that's kind of my take there on GJ and the 15. A little bit noisy there, but if we can start to see some momentum, things do get better. UJ, this one's a little bit tougher to trade, I would say, in my humble opinion. I do like the buys here overall. We have been pretty consistent with this uptrend. It's just been super, super corrective, so it's not like a crazy uptrend, but it has been pretty consistent. You can see by all the successive higher lows prices been printing. We do have a gap here which price could potentially look to fill. What I do like about dollar yen is that we do have the consistency of this uptrend and this trend line here. So as I was mentioning earlier, I think the best place for a buy for UJ is around 148. Now, whether we actually get there or not, that's a different question. But if we do get there, as long as we get there correctively, start to reject well, I do think that's a prime place to buy GJ because you can get a pretty safe stop loss. You're up against this trend line, which price has respected on numerous occasions, and you're still looking to try and bet on the continuation of that momentum. I'm still very bearish on the yen as well, so I'm looking for pretty much most currencies to be stronger than the yen. Dollar is one of them. But yeah, I do think this is the better place because right now we're kind of teasing this high here. We broke through the high, we're back underneath it again. Are we coming back to retest it, to fall, or are we gonna bounce to continue? I'm not too sure here. And then when I do drop to like an hourly chart, this bearish move has been pretty corrective as well. So I wouldn't be so optimistic to try and keep shorting this. It's not like a healthy trend, which I would bet on the continuation of. It's quite a corrective move. So I'm not so keen with the shorts. I'm not so keen with the buys here just yet. 148 looks a lot better. There's a lot more confluence back down there. I do think dollar yen is still likely to continue higher and trend higher. So I'm looking at price eventually doing something like this. That's the bigger move I'm betting for. But yeah, if I'm going to look to trade that, it would be down here. And then once we've hit that, not only is the risk reward really good for a pushback to the high, but we can also look for intraday along the way. Yeah, and take advantage of those back to highs as well. So, I mean, maybe we do break and retest here and continue. I'm just not entirely convinced. I just would rather wait for price to go a little bit lower. Because trading is not necessarily about catching the move. It's more so taking a good trade. And sometimes if you are looking to take a good trade, you might miss the move because the criteria of your good trade might be like, you might be waiting for price to come a little bit lower, waiting for this and waiting for that. And those metrics, those components don't quite come together, and then the market makes the move. That is going to happen from time to time. But the other side of the coin is that you're going to just chase the market, not really waiting for your plan to really set up, and then you're just taking trades out of instincts really. So yeah, that's kind of where I'd wait for price to get to. Let's see how we do develop over the next few days. Aussie CAD, I mean, let's drop to the 15. I forgot to look at the 15, didn't I? 15-minute chart. 15 is not so bad for a short, to be honest, because you can be in and out. I like the high here, which of course gave us this leg. So if I was looking to take a short, I would wait for price to push back into the highs here, and this is where I try and position myself for a short. If things go well, we can get a push here. If things go very well, maybe a push there into new lows as well. But at least up there, I think that'll be a great place for a short. Around 151.201. Because on the 50-minute chart, you do have a pretty convincing bearish trend, so you would be looking to short. If you're looking for buys, I would wait for structure to break and more of a convincing uptrend before I do start buying. But here, I think that's a well-positioned area to short. And if you're looking for a trade to be in and out, you can still take advantage of a move there and call it a day. So yeah, that's kind of my swing bias and intraday bias for UJ there. Precious, yes, good morning, hope you're doing good. We can take a look at the Japanese index for you, no problem. The long and gold has aged me 5 years. But hopefully, hopefully the profits from that position will make up for that media. Hopefully the profits will make up for that. Okay, we'll go through Aussie CAD and then I'll take a look at the Japanese index as well. Bernard, what is up? Yes, we can take a look at Euro Aussie. Just got a couple of markets to look at beforehand and then we can discuss. So Aussie CAD 15-minute chart. This one's a little bit more hectic, a bit more flat, if you will. So I am not expecting to see any brilliant setups right now in the 15. We've got equal highs here. Done a good job respecting. Equal lows there. Done a good job respecting so far. And yeah, we've been bouncing back and forth. And really, I don't want to drop to the 15. I mean, looking at this market, because the 15, all the 15 will do is just zoom into all of this, which to me just looks like noise, really. I think the better opportunity for Aussie CAD would be waiting for us to get the breakout here, then look for some pullbacks along the way, or even just buying at the lows and selling at the highs. That will be a much better opportunity. I'm going to keep an eye on this level here, because from a swing bias, this could actually be a nice area for a buy, but I'll wait for us to get there. I'm not as convinced as I was 2-3 weeks ago, especially now that we failed at highs, so it's a bit more awkward. But yeah, on the 4-hour chart, all I'm seeing is consolidation. So dropping to the 15, it's just going to be absolute noise. Yeah. I mean, well and truly, I think this would be the best place to get a trade. Yeah, even looking for a push back to highs here is not great. I mean, you might find that sort of opportunity there, but it's not brilliant. I think this would be the better trade, or like I said, buying at the lows again. So yeah, Aussie CAD, not looking great, to be honest. Not looking great on the 15. I would leave this pair alone, or try and sell the highs, buy the lows. What's up, Livia? Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Yes, we just had a look at UJ. Let me know if there's a particular time frame you want me to look at, or if you have any questions. But I think UJ is a market which is likely to pick up momentum soon to the upside. Just not quite ready yet. It's not my favorite yen pair. I like pound yen a lot more. We'll take a look at the Japanese index and then we'll go over to Euro Aussie. The profits will have to pay for your Botox. Well, I think all this gold trading is definitely turning into a bit of a comedian, Amelia. I think you should trade gold more often. Let's go take a look at JP225. Okay, so it is looking very bullish. Okay, that's good for me. That's good for me. Because if the index is up, that means yen should be weak, which is good for my pound yen trade. So yeah, price is loving life right now. You got a massive psychological level at 50k. Looks like price is gunning towards that. Yeah, I'll just be looking at pullbacks for this guy and looking at longs. So another pullback like this. That looks like a nice trade opportunity. Betting on more higher lows. 1, 2, 3. Can we find another one? Hopefully we can. Of course, we just created some new highs now, so you can see the momentum and the current theme of the market is just really, really bullish. So for me, it's just about buying the pullbacks. I wouldn't entertain any shorts for now. So keep an eye on 47,750. Well, anywhere around that region, to be honest. It could even be a retest of the high. But as long as we don't take out this low, which kick-started this momentum, I do bet on continuation. There's a very high chance we might just do that. But if we can have a pullback, great. I think the buys look really good there, which, again, good sign for more yen weakness. Let's take a look at Euro Aussie. So Euro Aussie, I am bullish on this one. I am looking for a push back to the high over here. The only problem is we do have a bit of a brick wall ahead of us. You know, this is a pretty big level of resistance. I did say early in the stream that if we can see the breakout of this, we do have a nice tradable range in terms of, okay, if price breaks that, well, where's the next big target? It would be the high there. So that provides a nice opportunity. As long as price breaks the level and stays above it, you know, we would anticipate a push back to this high up here. So that's a nice opportunity, but we have to be patient to wait for that. Besides from that, it's a bit of a range, to be honest, for Euro Aussie. I mean, it's a pretty convincing uptrend, so I would have that bullish bias. I do think eventually we'll see the continuation of it. But I don't really see a good opportunity to trade it right now because, like I said, we're in the middle of the range. This is going to be the most noisiest place to try and find a trade. But yeah, if we can clear the highs there, then pull back, you're looking much better. Or of course, if we do pull back into support, you can probably anticipate a bounce there too. But in the middle is the most noise, most chaos. I wouldn't advise try and find something in there. Yeah, I would stay away personally. So yeah, Euro Aussie, I'm bullish, but I'll say keep an eye on the break of that resistance, and that could take us to the next big level, around 1.83939. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Euro Aussie. I am out of water. What's up, Follow the Trend? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome. Yusuf, no problem. Happy to help, my man. Happy to help. No worries, Follow the Trend. No worries. Any longs, Euro Swiss, Pound Swiss? Okay, we can take a look at those guys. Looking at these bottoming out soon, or any nice swings or any pairs that you have in mind. Well, I'll go take a look at Euro Swiss and Pound CHF for you, and then I can go through the trades I'm in as well, in case everyone who's just joined hasn't seen the positions. I do have a Pound Yen long, but I'll go through the analysis, and I do have a Dollar CAD long as well, which is a bit more intraday swing. But regarding Pound CHF and Euro CHF, I do think the buys look good on the short-term, medium-term scale. And by that, I mean like maybe 1 or 2 days. Because let's not forget, CHF is probably the strongest currency right now and has been for a good period of time. So if you're looking to buy any of the CHF pairs, you're betting that the strongest currency right now is going to see a bit of weakness, which it could do. Which is why I'm saying keep it short term, like a day or two, because it very well could see a bit of weakness for a day or two. But the bigger play is still CHF is dominant. And if you look at the bigger picture, this is Pound CHF. You know, CHF has been a very dominant currency, hence why it's falling. Euro CHF is the same case as well. If you zoom out, look at the bigger picture, it's been a falling market. And if you go pretty much at any other CHF pair, it's the same picture. So CHF is a very strong currency. I do think both of them are likely still to see a bit more downside. I think Euro CHF is still likely to sweep these lows. And I still think Pound CHF is likely to push to these lows. Of course, they're still very far away, so that's longer term. But I still do see more downside for both those currencies. So longer term, I still do think CHF is strong and the trend is down. So it's going to be very difficult to try and predict the reversal of that move. But what we can do is predict a move maybe for a day or two, like I said, especially in Pound CHF case, which we have come back into a pretty big level of support here. You can see a nice bounce there, nice bounce there, nice bounce there, and we're there again. So here we could see maybe some strength on Pound CHF for a day or two. I also really like how we closed on Friday. Nice piercing wick to the downside, pull back up, close it back above the level. So perhaps if I drop to the 4-hour chart, we could see price rally, back into supply. This is the level, this is the high that gave us this move to the downside. Perhaps we can pull back to retest that. That's a move which I can get behind. You're taking a buy at a really key level of support, significant level of high time frame support. We've had an attempt to try and break through. It's failed. Price has come back above. As long as we don't break through this low, I'm looking for price to see a bit of upside. But in terms of the bigger move, I wouldn't be surprised if we do respect this area and later go and break the level of support. In fact, I do expect us to eventually do that, to be honest. So I'll keep it short term for pound CHF. Euro CHF I don't like as much. I did like Euro CHF like a week ago or 2 weeks ago when we were trading at this support level here. But since we've broken through that, I do think price is still likely to take out that high. So in Euro CHF case, again, we might see some upside as we come back into this low. But I do think it would just end up in us rolling over. So keep it short and sweet. In terms of the swings I'm looking for pound yen to give us a bit more upside. I am long on this one. Basically just looking to catch the high, the break and retest of this high here. Catch the low, sorry. Catch the new higher low of this swing. So really lovely breakout since the gap happened. Now price has had a nice corrective pullback onto that high. Similar candlestick to what we talked about in pound CHF. Nice piercing wick to the downside. Respecting prior resistance, now turn support. All I'm looking to do is see if I can bet on the continuation of this back into the prior high and hopefully back into the weekly swing high all the way up there. We're looking really bullish. The trend's alive and well. Pullback's been super corrective, so that gives me confidence that this is just a pullback, most likely for us to continue higher. And from there, I do think we can push through. So I've jumped into a long on pound yen. If we do come a little bit lower, I will have a second stab at this zone here with the gap, because there is that possibility price might want to fill that gap first or test the gap before we do continue. And I wouldn't mind having another stab there. As long as we don't take out this low. If pound yen does take out that low, I'll scrap the bias and rethink things. But as long as we're above that low, I do expect us to do that. And as long as we stay corrective as well. And then I also hopped into a dollar CAD short, dollar CAD long, sorry, which is a bit more short term. Just looking for a push back into the prior high, which is 1.40799. Entered this one about 3 hours ago. I like the way price swept the low here and then recovered very aggressively. Really nice closure on that candle. 8 p.m. there, UK time. And I put my stop loss just a few pips underneath that low. And all I'm looking to do is bet on the current momentum we're seeing. Dollar CAD has been super bullish for the past few weeks. We've kind of had a big breakout, excuse me, outside of this range here. And now we've had a really nice shift in momentum. So all I'm looking to do is see if we can continue for at least one more leg back to this high. The only thing I don't like about the position is that we are a little bit stretched, but I don't mind that because we do have a lot of momentum. If we were looking a bit more corrective, I probably wouldn't take the trade. Because I do think this bigger pullback will eventually occur. And we'll get something like this happening, and then eventually we'll probably see the next big swing. We've got these lows. We might go and put some new lows in before we do continue. So I could see that happening long term. But for the here and now, momentum's looking really good. I really like the way we've pulled back. A lot of people were buying dollar CAD around here last week. With this bearish move, we would have taken out a lot of positions, and potentially now we've got the force or the liquidity we need to actually see that push back to highs and maybe a little bit further as well. So I like the entry pattern too, sweeping some lows, finding the recovery, especially in that area of demand, and hopefully we can see a push back to highs. So yeah, just basically trend continuation, nothing crazy for both of those trades. And yeah, we'll see how they get going. Yes, we could take a look at US 30 as well. No problem, follow the trend, happy to help. Okay, yeah. Nice to see you on the same page, yeah. I think there's that short-term bounce there for pound CHF and probably Euro CHF as well. Actually, probably for quite a lot of CHF pairs, but We always have to pay attention to what the market is doing, and those CHF pairs are still extremely bearish higher time frame. So if I'm buying them, I don't want to be buying them from too long, because I would eventually expect the higher time frame to win. Of course, at some point they're gonna reverse on the higher time frames too, but let's wait for that actually to happen, and then we can trade that. So yeah, as for US 30, a bit more awkward this one, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I would still be bullish here for the Dow Jones, and I'm still looking for a push back to the highs, 47k roughly. But I did say in the weekly analysis that if we are looking for some longs here for US 30, I would either wait for price to run back to the lows here and look to buy there, or wait for price to create some new highs past this point, because we've got this low, high, higher low, higher high, equal low, then a new higher high will then tell me that, okay, this structure is back bullish again. Because right now I could argue that this is consolidation, and maybe we should just leave all of this alone, which is actually probably the best bet really. This is still a good buy, because at least you at the low of the consolidation you can put a nice stop loss underneath that. But really, I don't really want to be finding a trade like in the middle here, because this is really choppy price action, and I don't think it's worth the while. But if you can break highs here, well, that will tell me that, okay, the uptrend is still alive and well. Intraday, we're seeing that sign happening again. Then if we can find a pullback somewhere intraday, we can trade it back to highs and probably new highs as well. So again, overall, still very bullish on US 30. There is still room to the upside, but we are quite flat, and we have been flat. Most of the indices other indices are doing the exact same thing as well. We have been quite flat for the past 2, 3, 4 days, something like that. So I don't really want to be trying to investigate too much in here. I think if we can create highs, okay, that's a big sign to show the buyers are back again and they're strong, and we can likely bet on the continuation of that. Or if we do come back to support, you will be positioned well for a long there. But to be honest, I think I'll leave the market alone for the next maybe 2-3 days, because I don't see any good ideas, and I think things are quite choppy. I'm afraid Trump might tweet something. The thing about that is there's always that possibility. Not even Trump tweeting something randomly happening in the stock market, which could affect the prices, or not even the stock market. Anything worldwide could happen, which could affect the price of US 30 and a lot of markets. So as a trader, you can't necessarily anticipate that, because if you worry about that too much, that could talk you out of taking some trades, some really good trades. But you've got that fear that Trump might say something or this might happen. At the end of the day, your edge is not that every trade's going to win. That's not our edge. Our edge is that if we take 20, 50, 100 trades, the sum of that will be profit. So, our time is spent worthwhile. And if you do have that edge, yes, there could be times where Trump does a tweet and it just messes up your trade. Yeah, which is why we got a stop loss, we manage our risk. But the long-term play is that our equity curve is pointing up. So you still got to take those trades and try and shake off that fear, because it could stop you taking some good trades, which will mess with your rhythm, and it's not really good. It's not really a good reason to not trade as well. Yes, I understand anything can happen, but trading is all about risk, to be honest. So you're gonna have to take the risk at some point. But I understand your point. I understand your point. Of course, there is merit there. But my advice is just continue trading. You can lower your risk a little bit. If you are a little bit apprehensive, that's fine too. But you want to still take those trades and still keep that rhythm alive. Otherwise, you'll miss some good opportunities. But yeah, guys, we are coming to the end of the stream. It's been a very active Monday for myself. 2 trades. I can't remember the last time I've taken 2 trades on a Monday. So yeah, a lot is happening, which hasn't happened for a while. But yeah, long and pound yen, we'll see how that guy gets going. It's still very early doors. It is more of a swing trade, so I'm expecting at least a week for this to play out. I mean, if momentum is going to step in, it could pick up quite fast, but we'll see. I've got my stops in place. I like the entry. I like where we're positioned. Let's see how this does progress. And obviously dollar CAD as well. A bit more intraday, so if this is going to play out, I expect it to play out a lot quicker or get stopped out quicker as well. But again, I like the position for here. I like the way we've covered that low. We'll see how this does continue. Out of all the USD pairs, this one's been the more attractive one, especially because of the current trend. Dollar hasn't been crazy strong, but CAD has been very weak. So we have had a nice push here for dollar CAD. And I'm still counting on USD being strong. So hopefully that can pick up the pace soon. But yeah, those are the two positions I'm in. I'm eyeing up gold as well. I like the gold buys too. If you can run the lows here, then I'll be looking to try and see if I can pick up the recovery. And same bet as always, a push back to the highs. So yeah, guys, I'll keep you updated. Of course, tomorrow stream as always between 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. UK time. If you're there, if you're free, make sure to come say hi, come spend some time with us. I really do appreciate each and every one of you tuning into the stream and chatting with myself. It does make the stream for what it is, so I do really appreciate that. But guys, appreciate it. And if you have enjoyed the stream and found it useful, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. Check out the channel memberships if you do want some added perks. Trade signals, members only videos. Check it out if you are interested. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be live again tomorrow, so hopefully see you all there. But nonetheless, have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Six AI agents, each built with a unique edge. Miko, AI, Team Leader. Ori AI, Fundamental Analyst. XAUUSD, AI, Technical Analyst. Mesa, AI, Risk Management Specialist. Fenwa, AI Market Sentiment Analyst. And Naledi AI, the cryptocurrency expert. Together, they're engineered to protect, guide, and transform your trading. The future of trading is here. Experience Zentrix AI.